Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Rivers to Bach Book Club. We are covering Winter's Heart again. That is book 9 in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. And this episode is the finale. We're going to cover chapter 33 to the end. Originally, we read this episode and the last episode together, but we decided to split it up just into two episodes because it has a lot of detail, so we figured it'd be better in two episodes. But I'm gonna get right into it here, and before I get into it, I'm your host Andrew, and I'm joined today by my co-host Jash.
Roo, 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 roo.
He is a
Let's
dog
go.
today.
Damn. I'm fucking hype. Let's go.
Honestly, the finale's pretty hype.
Right? That's
So,
into the video. I'm just gonna. All right.
yeah, no, you're good. I'm gonna open with an RPG question. So in the last episode, we talked about how Rand got the letter from Min and read it and was like, "All right, I know it's a trap, but because I know it's a trap, it's all good. It's not going to be a trap." So I wanted to ask the RPG question again. If you're playing a video game and you have a decision, which decision would you pick? So what would you do? Would you go to the building that the letter talks about and try to find the last two Ashaman? Or would you stick with the original thing that you told Lan and just leave in the morning and not deal with it? And just go do other shit?
All right. So if this was real life, this is what would be going through my head. First, I'd be like, okay, I'm the dragon. Gotta cleanse this source.
You are the
I,
dragon.
I am the dragon. There's two people I know that are against me and have joined the Dark One, or at least are just against me. Uh, so so assuming that they're probably not being hurt by the taint at all, but I still am. But knowing this, uh, if I leave, they might get away, or if we can capture them, we might get more info. But if we leave now, then we could completely. It's like you have the knowing it's a trap. Uh, it's already like one thing. But knowing that if you don't go, you could potentially lose some net positives. But there are some net negatives as well. Because you can't channel, it's just gonna be you and Lan, but you and Lan are super good at sword fighting. But it's a tough one. I think what I would probably do is I'd probably just leave and just go and try to get rid of the taint. Just because it's like the risks just kind of aren't worth the rewards because whether or not you kill them or I guess you could capture them or attempt to and get more information on who else is a traitor. Uh, but the taint is literally like a must. Like you need to get that shit done now because not only is like the taint probably one of the main reasons the Ashiman are even turning to the Dark One is so that the taint won't drive them crazy and you won't have to kill them like you have done with other people who've gone crazy too early. So, and perhaps if you cleanse the tape, maybe they could come back to your side and be like, "Yo, I was only doing this for crazy." Yeah, it'd be hard to trust them, but I locked him in a chest, and now they're working for him. So have them do an oath rod. So I just don't think it's worth it. Like, there's just so many more. Like getting rid of the taint in general, I feel like is just more important, and you can get more out of it than chasing these two people at this moment. So that's what I would do. I'd just say fuck it, going to the taint. I'd just leave them alone.
I am glad you laid that out because I am in complete agreement. I would just leave. I bring this question up as well. I think you could go either way, like you said, but I think the more logical answer is yeah, like let's just go cleanse the tank because that's obviously way more important in the whole scheme of things. And on top of that, the risk is very high. Like you said, he can't channel, so potentially, yeah, he's a great sword master, but if they just sneak up behind him, or even just a crossbow bolt, right, just shoot him in the back, you're dead. So,
Yeah, because I
and
mean
then
we've
and
seen.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you can go.
No,
I
no,
was say
go.
we've seen Rand like in previous books where he's had the ability to channel, and that one time when Fane came and slashed him, or like when people sneak up on him, and thanks to him being Tarviran, he like survives most of the time. But it's like, sometimes your luck runs out, or because when Fane cut him, he almost died, like literally
Yep.
almost died. And so there's only, I don't know how far being Tarviran will save you, but at some point luck's gonna run out. So unless you're Matt, obviously.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
yeah, it's
No,
just
that's
not worth the risk.
I
Not worth the
agree.
risk.
That's part of the reason I brought this question up too is I feel like it's also kind of a character moment for him where it's like he's still going down. I don't know how to describe it. These like rabbit holes that don't really matter, these side quests that don't really matter. It kind of reminds me of Elaine before she got to this book where she is assuming, the position of royalty, she's assuming the position of power, she's enacting, her statutes and stuff and is doing a pretty good job. But for a while there, they were chasing the bull and like Elaine wasn't going back to Camelin when she clearly needed to go back to Camelin. And I think we're kind of in another situation here where like Rand's like doing this side quest when we don't really need to be doing this side quest, right? But it's
Yeah.
like a character moment where he's learning. He's still really young and learning.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
it's almost thing of like why is he choosing to do this instead of just going and cleansing the taint? Like, does he feel like he has an obligation to take care of this because he's the one who helped create the Ashimon?
Yeah.
Does he feel betrayed, so he wants to finish him off because he's just in that mindset because since he didn't take care of uh what's her face when Moraine died,
Yeah.
the Forsaken woman. It's been
yeah. Let me look.
it's been a lot of books. Sorry, I can't remember everyone's names, but because he wasn't hard enough to do what needed to be done, Moraine had to die for it. And so we get to this part and he's only thinking, so maybe he's thinking, oh, if I don't take care of these two Ashimon, who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing his way of thinking is, it's like you can understand it, but on the other hand, it's, he's not thinking too logically. And it's kind of hard to think logically when you have a lot of, not only are you under extreme stress, like the whole world is counting on you to do the right thing, but you also have Luce Theron fucking won't shut the fuck up. Just yelling in your head. I mean, that would honestly drive anybody crazy.
Yeah.
So I just don't think he's in the state to think that rationally, just because he has the multitude of stress, the physical pain from both his wounds that won't heal, and having Luce Theron yell at him, and having the taint like corrupt him. So it's just, there's a lot going on inside Rand. He's not doing the best. He's not thinking clearly, in my opinion, as well as he could be later if he would just go and cleanse the taint and say fuck it.
Yeah. I agree with what you said there. And it's Lanfear, by the way. I looked up
Lanfear.
Yep.
There we go.
Forgot
Lanfear
as well.
God. Who would you rather? Here's an RPG question. Who would you, if you were, would you rather team up with Lanfear or Moraine? Because okay, so Lanfear, super attractive, like probably the hottest chick in the entire world.
Yes.
Moraine, she's probably still banging. Not gonna lie, she got that MILF status, but what was her name? But Lanfear is like we're talking 30 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean
and,
the most
and
beautiful
she's
woman.
and she's super into you.
Well, we know Rand's strategy, which is bond both of them and then bang both of them. So
yeah, so
I think that would be his strategy at this point.
What would you do?
Moraine. No matter how attractive Lanfear is, bro, Moraine's my girl. I love
Fucking
Moraine.
go. Yeah, fuck Lanfear.
Yeah,
All
literally.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. All right.
All right.
We can continue.
So
I'm good.
I'm just gonna kind of exposition, kind of go through the context of the whole situation with them entering the building and stuff. Then we can kind of talk about it. But so Rand and Lan and Nynaeve approach the building that the Asha'man are in. So he sees Gedwyn and Torval, which are the two last remaining rogue Asha'man that he's aware of. He sees them entering the building and he surmises that they're on the third floor. So he devises a plan with Nynaeve where Nynaeve will use the source to put him and Lan on the roof so they can sneak into the third floor because it's the top floor. So Nynaeve is able to use Sidar, I believe, because of an Ongriel or a Turongriel in her possession. She's able to overpower the ability to not channel and farm attic
Well,
or something like that.
so
I can't remember.
so it's an item she got from Cadswain, and
Yes.
you can store power. So when those meetings they were doing when they were leaving the city, they were storing Sidar into these Ungrial so that when they brought them into the city, they'd be able to use it
There you go. All right, that
if
makes
need be.
sense. I'm going to point out that detail of her using Sidar because obviously it becomes important later. She lifts them onto the roof. They go into the building and they actually find both Asha'man already dead. So it's already kind of sketchy. Obviously, we know this is probably a trap. Rand realizes that Thane is actually the one who did this because he can feel the wound throbbing because the dagger is nearby. So Thane jumps out in great Thane fashion and attacks Rand. Another dark friend attacks Lan, and they scuffle for a while. There's some details about them fighting. Thane runs into the other room and escapes. Lan kind of holds back Rand and is like, "Hey, we can't go after Thane because the guards are like swarming the building outside." So they both go back out onto the roof. Lan slips on one of the slats and almost falls off the roof. Rand grabs him with one arm. Lan is actually like, "Just let me go." And we have a moment here where it's like, maybe Lan could die, and then he doesn't. They both fall down into the alley. But that's kind of
Yeah.
that scene. Yeah, go ahead.
So, uh, so another way how he knows it was Fane is because the dead bodies were all black and bulged and
Oh yeah,
gross.
good point.
Because that's what the knife would do when you cut people with the knife. Uh, and this scene, I really like Fane. As I was glad they didn't kill him off in this book because he's the last like main villain from the first couple books. So I kind of want to see him last at least until the second to last book or the last book. But I feel like Fane's gonna be end up being the a new nameless. Like as I feel like we're gonna take out whatever nameless the new nameless right now, and then Fane's probably gonna take that person's place. Is my guess for future books. Just because him and Althor, they're kind of like it's like you have Ran in the main boss battle, but Fane is like the boss battle before the Dark One, or at least that's like how it feels.
Yeah,
It's
no,
building up to be.
I think he's still the most interesting antagonist for sure of all of them. He's definitely more of like a side boss right now, and he just kind of fucks with Rand every once in a while. But yeah, no, I still am interested in him as well, and also his craziness is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was, I was actually kind of scared that they would have killed Lan off.
Me too. I was like, this is a prime, and I should have wrote that in my notes before I described this scene. But I was like, this is a prime moment for Lan to die. Like, if they want Lan, if Robert Jordan wants Lan to die, he could just have Fane kill him. He could have the other dark friend kill him. He could have him fall out the window, and then when he's dangling off the roof, I'm like, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. I'm like, this is
Dude,
where he dies.
I like, I would have been. I feel like I would have been like okay with his death in a way if it happened here because of for Rand's character development, and then Nynaeve's because Nynaeve was the one who went along with the plan when Min was the one who said no.
Right.
But But then on the other hand, I'd be like, so you built up this real badass character, right? Throughout 9 books, and he dies by falling off a fucking roof. I'm like, that'd be so lame. But but at the end of the day, he's not dead, so thank God. He's just unconscious. Well, they
Yeah.
both are, I think. So
Yes.
the did I can't remember. Did we get any snakes down the river or like
No, we
water
did not. I
rock
think we're
them?
past that stage. Unfortunately, we're past the monkey eats the banana and climbs the tree stage.
That's a shame. I really did enjoy them. They're just getting a little too much. I want a little more detail. You can do both. Just
Yes,
balance both out.
it was funny though for a while there.
It was who do you think who was that other dark friend? Because they killed both the Ashimon, and shouldn't the Ashimon isn't this interesting? Shouldn't the Ashimon, if they betrayed Rand, shouldn't they be with the Dark One? Who else would they be with? But Fane just
Yeah,
killed them. Fane's with the Dark One. He just because like if they didn't, it would have been 4-on-2, but it was a 2-on-2. So what's up with that?
true. Of course, we know also that Thane is half Shadar Logoth
Yeah,
or
he's nuts.
Dagger. Yeah, he's insane. So he might just at least in book two he would just randomly kill people for no reason. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe he just killed him for the walls, because he wants to kill Althor. He doesn't want
Yeah,
anyone
that's the other
interfering.
part too. Yeah, he doesn't want and like the other dark friend doesn't, he attacks Land, not Rand. They could have easily both attacked Rand too, but you
Mhm.
know, uh yeah, Thane wants to 1v1 him. Fair enough.
Yeah, it held his own pretty well,
Yeah.
considering Rand's a sword master now.
Yep.
But yeah. So they fell off the roof.
Yep.
They both are knocked out, and so what
Yeah.
happens? What happens next? I'm wondering.
So, Nynaeve notices that a lot of guards are swarming the alley near the building. Cadsuane, Nynaeve, Olivia, and Min are all together at this point. Olivia, Min, and Cadsuane arrive. And Min thinks Rand has fallen and is unconscious due to, the bond. She can sense his consciousness. Um, Cadsuane explains actually that the reason that all the guards are there is because Sidar was used. And since formatting is obviously like a no channel zone, they're immediately alerted even when Nynaeve uses that small amount of Sidar to lift them onto the roof. So that kind of
Hmm.
screws up their plans. So Cadsuane is like, okay, we can't really do anything about this now. We need to go back and plan, and we can't do anything about this right now, despite Min being like, oh, I need to go to him, blah blah blah. So they kind of just leave the scene. And then the next part is Rand waking up in the cell. So we get a little bit of rock hard Rand here,
Damn right we do.
but
Damn right.
he just remembers being stuck in the box when he was captured by the Aes Sedai. Lews Therin, of course, starts freaking out. Rand's like, I need to be rock hard.
Yeah.
He remembers,
Yeah.
Moraine dying, and he's like, I should have been harder then. And he remembers all other people dying, and he just thinks about becoming even more rock hard Rand.
Damn right. Rock
So
hard Rand.
yeah, and stop me if you want to talk about anything here, but I'll
Well,
go ahead.
there was so another thing when the soldiers showed up too. Uh, at the beginning before Nynaeve lifted them, they would say like would see their swords, and no, you don't really carry your weapons out.
Right.
People don't look at you, like they look away. They're like, I don't want any of that business. But it draws attention, so that might have been also kind of influence to get the soldiers over there.
Yeah. Good point.
And Rand was eating a chicken pot pie, or he was eating some kind of pie. It
Yeah.
made me hungry at the time. And now I'm getting hungry again. And even Rand was hungry. He's like, I want to scarf this down, but he didn't. I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah.
But in the dungeon, this just goes to show you that Rand himself is like reinforcing his hardness onto himself, because he wasn't hard enough to take out Lanfear because of his morals for women, for not wanting to kill him and such. Uh, But since he wasn't hard enough, obviously Moraine died because he wouldn't do it, wouldn't take out Lanfear, even though he could easily have done it. So uh, all these people that are dying in the name of him is showing how it's really like a net, not a net asset for his mental stability. He's like every time someone dies in the name for him, he he like actually cares. Like he cares so much. He is willing to forgo all emotion, all feeling, just so he could do what must be done. Whether he dies or not, doesn't care. He just I gotta be as hard as I can so I can beat the Dark One so no one else can die. And it's almost like it's a little sad because it's like, damn, Rand's just depressed as fuck. It's like
Yeah.
this is a great spot because he's like stuck in the claustrophobic area. Lews Therin's screaming at him. He's going nuts, and he's just like, nope. I'm gonna stay sane. I'm gonna stay hard. I'm gonna get through this, and I respect it. But I hope Catswain does make him a little soft too, because
It's
we need some. He needs some love.
he needs
I need
some
some
love.
love.
Yeah. He this scene is definitely a serious scene, like you said, but it's hard for me sometimes to take it seriously because of how much Robert Jordan says that Rand needs to be hard. It just makes me laugh. He could use any word. He could use strong. He could use like resilient, but he just uses
Well,
hard over and over, and it just it cracks me up a little bit. But yeah,
well, if it was Stephen King, it would be ejaculate.
yes,
So
that's the
at
only
least it's not. At least it's not that.
way.
So like, but
I'm gonna name this episode Rock Hard
yeah,
Rand.
Rock Harder. He is super hard uh in this book.
Yes, more so than other books.
Hmm.
With women and with his life.
In his life, yes, he he definitely needs like I don't know what men in them could possibly do like anymore to like change him. Like we're gonna have to see. He's probably going to have an intervention.
Yeah. There'll have to be some kind of event or yeah, like you said, some kind of intervention style thing to make him kind of change gears cuz right now like you said, he's kind of reinforcing it in his brain that the only solution is to be harder.
Hard.
Hell yeah, brother, but yeah. That's not necessarily always the right solution.
Yeah.
And you can't always you make decisions with the best knowledge you have available, and you never know what those decisions will eventually lead to. But you're just trying your best. He's being a little too hard on himself about being hard, I
Hmm.
think. So,
Yes. So
but
we'll
yeah,
see, and we'll see where he ends up going.
yeah. So the next part here is Cad Swain and the rest of the squad. I'm just gonna call them the squad, so I don't have to describe everyone who's there, but they approach the Farmatting Council. So Cat Swain tries to negotiate with the council. They're not really cooperating, and they're like saying, "Oh, we don't have the dragon, whatever." Um, so Cat Swain deceives the council by making them think that both the men and the women in their squad can channel despite being in Farmatting. So we know, like Josh said earlier, Cat Swain has some Sidar stored up in her Angreal, and she can use it a little bit. There's not a ton, but she's able to use just enough to convince them that the Ashaman can channel too, that they can all channel. So this kind of
Yeah.
scares them into agreeing to release Rand and Lan. They release them, and then they erase any record of them ever being in Farmatting, and they're able to freely leave. But is there anything you wanted to kind of discuss there? Because after this is kind of when we go to the final crescendo.
Yeah. So I guess they knew Rand was the dragon because they stripped him naked, or at least semi naked. I can't remember, but
Yeah, they at
so they
least
saw
took
the
his shirt off so they could see his sleeves. or his
Yeah.
arms. Yeah.
And honestly, if I were them, I probably would have let Rand and them go too, because you know you can't channel, but then you have not only Cadswain, who's like old as shit, but then you have other Aes Sedai, and then to Ashamon, like, yeah, I'd let them go too. And like, if you think all of them can channel, and within the city limits, and you can't, the odds aren't looking good. So,
No.
and yeah, so I think, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. It's
That's a,
pretty smart on Cat Swain's part to kind of trick them. She's able to kind of negotiate the situation and intimidate them without causing any real fighting, because she knows, yeah, she has Aes Sedai with her and stuff, but they can't channel besides that small amount of Sidar that they have. So really, the Farmading Council could easily overpower them with all the guards they have. So she's able
yeah.
to kind of navigate that situation pretty well. But all right, I'm going to go into kind of the final sequence here. So I will preface me describing this final sequence with there's a lot of perspective changes, and at least for me, it got kind of confusing. So when I wrote these notes, I tried to condense the viewpoints so that it just goes to each person's viewpoint and goes through what they do during this sequence to make it a little less confusing. But it won't be exactly how it's laid out in the book because of that. But I think it makes it less confusing. But is there anything else you want to talk about before I kind of get into that?
Um, so in this section, I'm just gonna let Andrew read through the whole battle before adding any input, just so we can get it done, get it through.
Yep. I think it'll be less confusing that way. Okay, so the final big moment. So Rand decides he's gonna try to cleanse the male half of the source when they leave Farmading. So they ride back, the whole squad, back to where he left Kalendor in the mud. If you remember, he just left it. After some discussion, Rand is like, I want to cleanse the source in Shadar Logoth. So he creates a portal and they all go to Shadar Logoth, and they start cleansing it, being Rand is the conduit for the male half, and then Nynaeve is the conduit for the female half. So it kind of goes into like like an acid trip a little bit here, where they're like, "Oh shit, so much power is like in me, blah, space and the sky." So I'm not really gonna like go into detail on that. Basically, the important thing here is they're both struggling a lot. Rand is struggling with all the Sidene. Nynaeve is struggling with all the Sidar. So Cadsuane sends everyone to their positions. Jahar, one of the Ashaman, wields Kalendor, and then a bunch of channelers also link to him. And then Cadsuane weaves a shield over to protect the group. So as this is happening all around the world, there's just fantastic things happening. There's like glowing stuff happening, and random people are like noticing this because so much of the one power is being wielded, and they're trying to cleanse an entire half of the source, so it's having a major effect like on the world. But I'm going to switch perspectives to Sindane, which is one of the Forsaken. So she feels that Rand is trying to cleanse the source, and she creates a portal to go try to kill Rand. She encounters a woman in the woods. She attacks that woman, but then the woman easily, deflects it, and they fight. Another Forsaken, Demondrid, which I believe he is the Nabalist at this point. He comes through the gateway into Shadar Logoth as well. He runs at Rand to try to kill him, but he's hampered by an old man in the forest. They fight with Sidene, but Demondrid actually loses and has to retreat. So we got two of the Forsaken going here, and then we finally have, I don't think he's a Forsaken, but he is like a Dark Friend. So we get Deshiva's perspective. Again, Deshiva is a former Ashaman, but he's actually masquerading as this guy named Osengar. And he thinks about how he's a genius and how he created Trollocs. So Osengar is the one who actually originally created Trollocs. That led to creating Myrddraal and then all these other creatures. So this guy's obviously like pretty powerful. He starts going towards Rand. He sees Jahar wielding Kalendor, the crystal sword, and he starts to, weave Balefire to kill him. So weird situation here. So you got, Deshiva trying to kill Rand and Jahar, and then Elsa, who's with Rand, but she's a dark friend, thinks about how she has to keep up the facade of being with Rand's gang, so she has to fight the Chosen. And she's like, okay, I hope the Dark Lord would, understand why I'm doing this. So she actually draws on Kalendor because she's linked to Jahar, and she shoots a fireball at Osengar and just annihilates the hill that he's on. So it isn't confirmed that he's dead, but it's implied. So Varen, while this is all happening, again, it's kind of confusing. While this is all happening, Varen also sees a dark friend approaching Rand, and she attacks that one. Some other Aes Sedai are attacking her, so they're fighting. Another one of the people in Rand's group, Eben, who's an Ashaman, is attacking another woman as well. And all of this is happening. Rand is finally feeling the taint moving. He finally feels it starting to subside. And so Cadsuane notices that Nynaeve is starting to pass out from exhaustion. So she goes up to Nynaeve and, kind of heals her to keep her strong. While that's happening, Mogadine is actually in the forest as well. And she notices that the Forsaken have been defeated, even though they tried to kill Rand. And she watches a dome rise over Shadar Logoth. And then it blows up, and there's a huge explosion of wind, and she gets thrown against the trees. The result of that is there's a huge pit where Shadar Logoth used to be. So Lan finds Nynaeve on the ground beneath a blanket. Rand is curled up with Min. They're both unconscious, Rand and Nynaeve. Varen was able to win the battle, and she killed the attacker. Eben, one of the Ashaman, died. And Jahar is like, oh, the Saidin is finally clean. But the weird part about all of this is even though Jahar says that, Cadsuane is not sure if that's true. So we're kind of left with a cliffhanger because the book kind of ends here where Cadsuane says she's not sure if it's really been cleansed. And then, Cadsuane prepares everyone to leave. And that's kind of how the book ends.
All right. So that's a lot to unpack.
A lot.
So there's
I'll take a breath after
only
that. Jesus.
Yeah, you can let me talk for a little bit. So there's only most of this is just a battle. I'm not gonna go through every single attack. What I really want to focus on mostly is when Rand is telling Cadsuane his plan for him and Nynaeve, and he was expecting her to disagree with him or tell him to not do it.
Right.
But she didn't. She was like, okay, let's go. Because he asked for her help. All right. And so she's gonna help him. And so I think this is also part of Cadsuane's plan to earn his trust, so that if he trusts her, it's easier for her to soften him up. So this was very interesting, seeing from Rand just be like, oh, huh, all right, cool. Finally somebody's just like, okay, Rand, you do you. This is your plan. You're good. He's not getting any backlash from anybody, because so far we've always seen him have resistance, whether it be somebody he left behind at a city taking care of a city or some shit, or even with Min a little bit ago throwing the letter away, not giving him the option to make his own decisions. So this is the first person who's just really like, who is just like, no, all right, let's go, let's do it, let's do your plan, and who isn't like giving him sass or saying shit about it. So I thought that was interesting. And then there's also the part of the actual linking with Nynaeve while holding those Ungriol or Sir Ungriol, wherever they were. And when Nynaeve, when the power starts flowing through Rand and then into her, and she feels the taint, chills went down my fucking arms, because when I got to this part, because it's like finally one of the girls are just like, oh my god, this is what you've been feeling, this is what's the one power's been tainted, this is how it feels, holy shit.
Right.
So it's just like when Min, Avienda, and Elaine linked or bonded Rand for the first time and they felt his pain. This is like we finally get Nynaeve, who at one point was just almost unbearable to read about, but now is definitely one of my favorite characters again. It's like she finally gets to feel what Rand's been feeling this whole time. And so, do I think the taint is gone? I think currently it is. I think currently, but if it was created once, it could probably be created again. So that's where I feel like Cadsuane's like warning comes in. Uh, with that, and now that Shale Ghoul is destroyed, it's definitely like it's gone. Or Shadow Logith, I meant not Shale Ghoul. Shadow Logith is gone. So the only thing reminiscent of this dark history, this darker than the Dark One type people, is Fane and his knife.
Right.
Everything else is gone. Uh, any other important stuff? Kalendor, last book. We were told by Cadsuane. I'm pretty sure it was either the last book or the book before, but Cadsuane said in order to wield Kalendor, because Kalendor was like and also a conduit to like bring in as much taint as possible
Yeah.
to
Right.
the wielder. But so if it was linked with more women, then it could counter the effect. And so it was interesting to see an Ashimon uh, use it and be linked with women, especially one being a dark friend that we don't quotation marks know about.
Right.
So it's just a lot of interesting things going on here. Uh, when the One Forsaken had the Balefire, in the book, it's like, oh, he's like, okay, I'm gonna build this Balefire against this wielder of Kalendor, and then it just cuts off to like goes to Mogadine, and I was like, oh, that's such a good cut because I'm like, oh, I'm so into it. So these these are all just kind of like my final thoughts on the battle. Uh, is that if I wasn't at work, I could probably follow it a little better when listening to it. Um, I definitely really liked how Cadsuane was following Rand and not trying to mother him. Like she's trying to actually be like, okay, you're the dragon. I'm here to guide you. Let's go. Kind of like Moraine was trying to do at first as well. And then also getting Nynaeve to feel some of the pain that Rand feels, because I feel like more people need to understand the type of pain Rand's having to go through. Because before that, everyone was like, "What is he thinking? Doesn't he know he should do this?" Blah blah blah. But you don't know what's going through his mind. You don't know what he's feeling. Uh, that and then Kalendor, that was cool. Yeah, and they're both passed out. They're not gonna get any heals. They're just gonna be resting OG style. And Cadsuane is the new is Gandalf the White. So,
She really is. She's the new Moraine. She's the new badass.
hmm
So, but yeah, go
hopefully
ahead.
that gave you enough breathing time because you read a lot.
No, absolutely. Yeah, the he really hit us with the ultimate cliffhanger because we have seemingly at least Shara Logoth is destroyed. So at least that's a net positive. You know, Shara Logoth was horrible, so
Yes, no,
that's a net
that
positive.
positive.
But
I
we're
see it as
not.
an asset.
Yeah, I see it as an asset. +2.
So,
But yeah, we don't know the extent of the cleanse. Like you said, maybe it is really cleansed, but it could be easily put back on. The Dark One did it once; he seemingly could do it again. We don't know if maybe it's not all the way cleansed. Like maybe she said that because he cleansed most of it, but there's still a little bit. Or maybe you did have a dark friend linking with Jahar. I don't know how much she could really like influence things, but like it is concerning that you had Elza in this gang and we don't know what the dark one could do with her as a conduit. So, it's just the cliffhanger to the ultimate cliffhanger. We'll have to see in the next book, like how to the extent of what it's cleansed and what Cadsuane means when she was remarking on that. But yeah, it was definitely a cool scene to see because we've been talking about this for a while now since obviously the taint has been around since the series started and it was always just a big pain point. Obviously Rand made the Dark Tower despite the taint still being there, but you know it was a big issue. It was like, what are they gonna do about the taint? Like, you know, Rand might just go insane before he makes it to Tarmangaden. These Ashaman are going insane, and he's tailing these Ashaman and formatting and stuff. So it's definitely a huge moment for him to even, if he doesn't fully cleanse it, or if the Dark One does put it back on, put the taint back on, he was at least able to do it. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a huge moment, obviously. And he was able to do it with Nynaeve, which is great. But you have people like Cadsuane, too, who are seemingly more powerful, who you could also do it with as well. So, like, um, yeah, it was just a cool scene. It was a little confusing. Like you said, I listened to this while I was at the gym. So it was a little confusing with the perspective switches. That might be my only criticism of this. And we've talked about this with like Robert Jordan's endings before, where we have so much detail, so much rich detail and awesome detail in the middle and the beginning parts of the book, but at the end, sometimes he kind of just doesn't give enough detail, or like what's happening here where he switches perspective so much that it was kind of confusing for me. I had to kind of listen over it again when I was writing these notes, but overall enjoyed it. So yeah.
Yeah, because I feel, uh, at least for me, Robert Jordan's when it comes to Robert Jordan's writing style, when he writes like fight scenes, they're still good, but they're not like I've read better. But his character work is insane. Like to keep track of all these characters, all their plot lines, and to make me feel for people that don't exist. So it's like relation wise, fantastic. Uh, Definitely when it comes to writing action, like as in like fight scenes, he's gotten better. Definitely better since book one. Uh, but with the bigger scaled like battles, kind of like this, it is still a little confusing. So I do think that is just that'd probably be my biggest criticism is just keep keep working on the fight scenes. They're getting there, but
Yes. Yes, I agree.
RIP though. I will definitely miss reading books strictly Robert Jordan, but we'll see how Brandon Sanderson does to. Since I haven't read them yet, I'm going to say attempt to elevate the writing, which, according to 100% of Wheel of Time fans, he does. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Uh, Predictions that I had, so that I went back and looked at the first video. So I predicted that uh, Tarvalin was gonna begin the siege, at least begin the siege. Did not happen. Egwene was in like one scene in this whole
Yeah.
book.
Literally one scene in the dream
Literally one
world
scene.
and that was it.
Yeah, literally it. And then I also predicted that Rand would not cleanse the source. I thought this was going to be a big L for him to another big L,
Yeah.
and I was also wrong there. And I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this because I haven't gone back and watched other videos, but I think I did predict that Perrin was not going to show up for the rest of the book. So if I did that, then I was right.
I honestly like almost forgot that happened in the beginning
Yeah,
of this
that
book.
Perrin
That
was
felt
even in the
like it was
book,
in another book. Like
right?
it's crazy. Yeah,
It doesn't even feel like it was in the same
it
book.
felt like that was in literally the last book. Wow.
They have to I mean Robert Jordan has to finish Perrin's little thing next book, right?
I would think,
Like
man.
you have to.
And I guess if we're gonna start kind of making predictions here, yeah, I would think you'd have to wrap that up. I would think the Tarvalin siege would happen next book. It's been like 4 books of it not happening. I feel like it's, I don't know.
Maybe they're waiting till. Maybe it's not going to happen till Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, maybe. 'Cause, I mean, there's so many different plots to wrap up now. We got Matt escaping Abu Dar. We got Rand and the Source. Is it really, cleansed or whatever? We got, like you said, Egwene and the Siege, and then we also have Elaine with her Siege, and then we have Perrin with his wife. There's a lot, man. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's
We,
not going to be able to complete all of them in the next book. I imagine, maybe
oh
a
yeah.
few of them he's going to try to wrap up here, but yeah, it's going to be it's a
Well,
lot.
I feel like a lot of these won't get wrapped up until probably the second or last book.
Yeah.
We do have like 5 books plus the prequel. So I guess we'll get to those as we get to those. But I I think parents I think next book's going to mostly focus on Perrin and Egwene, and then Matt's thing's going to be maybe on the side burner again. This just prediction. But I've been wrong before.
Yeah, I'm
So,
gonna predict kind of the same thing. Egwene and Perrin hopefully wrap that up or at least move it along, and then I think we'll see Elaine in the Siege, and that'll solidify her as the queen. Um,
yeah.
and then yeah, Matt's side thing of like escaping Abu Dar, which like right now it's insinuating that something's gonna fuck up, but I'm interested to see. Well,
Yeah.
Tom
I
sacrificed himself once, maybe he'll have to do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Let's let's go Tom. He'll lose his other leg.
Yeah, listen, he'll be a fucking in a wheelchair, and then he'll still be serenading women.
Certainly, it doesn't matter how many limbs he loses, he's still going to be tapping that 18-year-old legal booty
Yeah, as long as he can sing
and juggle.
and juggle
Good
and
with his hands.
yeah, and uses
I
his pelvis. So
bet. Tom Maryland, my
what a
God,
man,
what a guy,
what a
what a
guy.
guy.
Bring Loyal back.
Uh,
Bring Loyal back.
bring Loyal. Oh my God,
Next
Loyal
book,
wasn't even in
please.
this
Loyal
book.
next book, please.
I want Loyal.
He's
I'm all
never
about
coming
Loyal.
back, dude. He's only
He's
gonna
not.
come back if Brandon Sanderson wants him back. I think at this point.
Yeah. Loyal's. Well, yeah. Well, actually, maybe. Uh, no, he's no. He's gonna have to write Rand's story, so when Rand wakes up, he's gonna be like, "Oh, Loyal's book."
Oh,
And
there
then
and
they're
back
gonna
again.
a dragon's
Yeah,
tale.
yeah, a dragon's tale, a rock hard tale.
A rock hard tale. That'd be hilarious. Well, I gotta piss, so you can
All right,
close it out
yeah,
if
we
you
can
want. I
close
got
it out
nothing else.
here. Thank you to our two listeners for sticking with us, but we really enjoyed the
Appreciate it.
finale. Thanks for listening. If you could give us a like or a comment on YouTube, that'd be great. Any feedback you can give is much appreciated, and give us a review on any podcast app you listen to us on. But we will see you next time.
Smell you later, Andrew.
See ya.